Happy Friday again, Dr. Wright. And it is, as we just mentioned, it's been a few weeks since we've done this. Spring
Yeah.
break last week. We hope everybody had a great break. And back at it this week. Overall indications, schools remain relatively healthy. We haven't had
Yes.
anyone really in jeopardy of closing down.
Every school had attendance above 90% this week.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That hot
Yes.
take. That's fresh news right there. That is great.
And it is, particularly this time, and particularly when it's spring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes.
And when you go from 70 to 40.
And allergies are kicking in, so that was really refreshing to see. We had one day with one school that went to 89%, but everyone else was
Not too many alarms raised.
No,
over that.
not at all. This is good news.
So it's great. People just continue to do the right things health-wise.
Yes.
I think you've sent a message out to all staff. Let's finish strong.
Finish strong, and the thing is, we're at that last finishing weeks. As far as we've got about 10 weeks left, and make every day count. I know it's been a disruptive year as far as when you looked at how we, from remote to hybrid to traditional, and then we've had some days that we've had to intersperse. We can really finish strong by looking at every day and making it count. And when I say that, I say not only instructionally, but also as classroom structures. I mean, it makes a difference when you bring your kids together, whether they're 5 years old or 18. There is a difference, and you can feel it. You can feel it going into the buildings right now.
Let's talk about the word disruption, okay? And
Yeah.
there's two aspects right now that are of high concern that not necessarily pandemic related, but just a staffing related issue. We'll start with transportation. It's been a big topic this week. I know that a lot of our administrators have voiced concerns on that. We know that this has been going on for a while. Routes have been down, and there's really no rhyme or reason other than the common denominator is it is a staffing issue. Plain and
Yes, it
simple,
is.
we need drivers.
And it's not something that's even new this year, except it becomes more dramatic this year because of the dependency on school transportation. When I look at the last 5 years, at least nearly 50% of our students are dependent on bus transportation. And when you look at the logistics of a district the size of ours, I mean, it's something that it's almost maddening when you look at how you route, and every time there is a new subdivision or some new development coming in, you have to make an adjustment to fit that. With that, as we add more travel time, add more routes, we're seeing a decline in the number of drivers that can serve us. So what we've also seen as far as with existing drivers having to expand time, that students are en route trying to get to and from school and home.
And let me stop right there. Essentially, we started a kind of a brand new school year just weeks ago when everybody went back full-time traditional. Transportation would agree that the hybrid schedule did alleviate some concerns.
Cut their traffic 50%.
Absolutely. Now we're in a full go. So the magnitude can really be felt, and it has been felt in full earnest over the past few weeks. So prior to spring break as well.
Yes.
So that's, as we go on, it is something that comes down to staffing.
It comes down to staffing. And, with any position in this school district, in our school family, they're not exempt from illness either. And, in good times, we would have substitutes or backup drivers. Well, we don't even have the backup drivers. So we are really in a critical situation as being able to provide dependable, when I say dependable, knowing it's going to run day to day to pick up our students and get them to school and get them home. Yesterday alone and today, we have 20 routes down, 20 routes.
This is as we close out these remaining weeks of these final weeks, as we close out things towards the spring and the school year, for families who have been dependent upon bus transportation, if your route has been habitually down, to consider other alternatives on transportation to school. I wish the outlook was better, the forecast was better. Right now, we can't say with confidence that many of the habitual routes would be up and running anytime soon.
And and it's something that we've known, but and have not really presented it. But here's the other thing we're up against: our drivers are heavily recruited. They have a CDL license, and if you just go down the road a short distance from where we're seated right now, there is a bonus of $8,000 for trucking firms wanting people that have that gift, that CDL license.
And if you can drive a school bus, you can drive practically the president. I mean, you really the background
yeah.
check and all that. So, companies know that, hey,
They're clean if they've worked for us.
Correct.
And the thing prior even to the pandemic, we were at the mercy as far as the tourism in Nashville, driving the big gray line buses and everything. They were recruiting our drivers because the very thing you just said, they knew that they were going to be dependable. They knew that they were going to be good drivers. They also knew they didn't have to worry because they had a thorough background check. And so we were hopeful that when that industry went down, went from 400 drivers down to 40, that we would see a return. But it's like anything else, it's almost like bubble wrap. That industry went down, but there's another industry that not only will they up the ante, and they have, that our drivers, and you can't blame them. You cannot blame them. That is not only a livelihood to be considered, but it's full-time work as far as without the break. But the thing that I would urge anyone that might have an interest, if you have children in school, I can't think of anything better than, going to school in the morning with them, driving that bus, and then having that afternoon, having time off in the summer, and it's a critical need. And I encourage, we will train you, we will encourage you, we will support you, but consider driving school buses.
And I spoke with Transportation Director Jerry Partlow yesterday. Said, look, if people are interested, I want to talk to them. We will work with them in so many ways that may not be known. So the possibilities are kind of limitless on the flexibility in helping potential drivers out. So we're going to talk more about this in the coming week. So be on the lookout for that.
And we can even parlay some time because there's another need. Our food services.
That was what we were going to next.
I mean, because if you're even looking
Yes.
at time and benefits, and even as an employee, there's also some perks as far as you might live outside the district. You can send your children to school here
If you,
as an employee.
Okay.
And the other thing is that, you also have the option as far as determining, it's in our policy as far as if there's space available where you want your children to go to school, if space is available. So even with food services, you could drive a bus in the morning, the afternoon, but work in our food services department, again, it would add to your pay. And
you can
these
piece
benefits.
together a full day
Absolutely.
without necessarily a split. That leads us to where we're going next, and it is
Yes.
the food service. We have been experiencing not only a shortage, but also we have had PTO groups. We've had some people come in who've been cleared to volunteer for food service only to do that. We appreciate that. Central office staff has been involved in this.
Hairnets and all, yes.
Today we have airmen from the 118th Wing in Nashville with the Air National Guard that are going to come out and serve at some of our schools. All hands on deck. The troops have been called in, so to speak.
Yeah, so they're going to be serving in our high schools today.
They will, but the message is food service workers also needed, and you can expound upon that a little bit.
As we came back from spring break, Monday alone, we had 13 positions that needed to be filled. We have 24 campuses, but 22 that are going to, be feeding students. So we had 13 down just going into the first of the week. Again, much like the bus drivers, there's illness, there's other, things happen that they just can't be there, and you'll never find a, greater dedication. All you have to do is go into our cafeterias and watch just, I guess, the love and the feeling that these people provide for our students, breakfast and lunch. But right now we are in short supply. And one that when we look at, it's not even just the elementary schools, but we're seeing it across the board. Some of our high schools are needing 3 or 4 positions a day. Some of it just as far as the food line to serve, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing some of the central office staff going out there and taking a block of time in the middle of the day to go out and serve food. Our PTO groups, as you said, started this week because they've been cleared that they can go in. There's just a little bit of training that goes with it as far as, to make sure you, know how much to put on and make sure that, our kids are being provided for. But then today, the military's coming out in full force and will be serving at all 5 high schools. And we're going to continue to put that message out there. We need you. We must take care of our kids.
In closing, is there anything else you want to add? Anything that's coming out of spring break? Sometimes it takes a minute for the engine to get revved up out of a spring break, but overall, it seems like the spirits and morale has been pretty good this week, all things considered. Health being important as always, but that was encouraging that there hasn't been any clusters starting to develop, and we are continually to see more light as we press on and navigate through the pandemic.
One of the benefits, we were on spring break almost a week to 2 weeks earlier than a lot of not only the surrounding districts, but around the southeast. And there's always that little apprehension because of what we've learned from COVID, as far as that anytime that there is a substantial break, that we'll see a surge falling. Well, we're not seeing it yet. We'll feel a little more comfortable by the time we get through next week. But showing what our attendance looks like this week tells me that we're in a pretty good place. And I think there's even greater awareness right now to do the things that you have to do to stay well. Plus, the vaccination that's already started among employees, that March 5th was the first one. March 26th is the second dose.
Next Friday.
Next Friday. So that's very promising as well. And other than, the weather giving us some pause this week, and we can't help but be a little apprehensive. I mean, it's understandable. It feels good.
We can easily turn back the clock to a year ago and know that, man, it's like, did that really happen?
Did that really happen?
And so much better position than we are certainly a year ago, and we didn't know about a lot that was going on at the time, but some encouraging things.
I want to thank you too, because that's one of the things we don't ever want to lose, that sensitivity. And you put out some really good messages this week, that not only the awareness, we're paying attention, we'll get information out, and we don't ever want to get lackadaisical about that, because that's going to be something that we need to be aware and sensitive about for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, we do thank you for your time, and again, we hope you have a great weekend. More information about transportation and other stuff will be coming in the coming week with updates, and again, I'll pass that information along.
And one more time, we need you.
We need you.
We need bus drivers. We need people that will serve food to our children. We need you and want you in our schools.
I've attached the link to our HR department below in this video, so if you want to reach out to them, there is a spot for you. So we'll just leave it at that. Have a great weekend, and I know we'll talk to you again very, very soon.
Thank you.